What's up, everyone? Tom here from toolswithtom.com. I want to take you through today a really useful formula for all you marketers out there when you're working with either raw data or you're looking to make a little bit more sense of your data. And it's the text to columns function that Excel provides us with. And what this allows us to do is to essentially separate cells that we have in an Excel spreadsheet based on a common criteria that they all relate to. So this is usually things like commas or a symbol or a space, and then using that, it can actually separate that into all of your separate columns. So I wanted to show an example that a lot of you marketers out there probably have seen before, where you go and you get a file from maybe your developers or from one of your different tools that you use, and you get the export and it comes into Excel and everything's in one cell, and you're thinking, holy cow, what am I going to actually be able to do with this data? You can see here that everything is just all in that single cell. There's lots of data in there. You know the right answers in there, but how can you essentially separate that into different columns so you can actually make sense of it? And so I want to show you how this text to column works. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select the column that we're looking to separate out, which is our column A. So if I click on A, it's going to select all of them there. Then in Excel, I'm going to go to Data and over to Text to Columns. Now I'm in Excel 2016, but this is going to be the same no matter what Excel you're using. So I click on Text to Columns, and now this takes me through to the Convert Text to Columns wizard. And so what I want to be able to do here is to be able to pick a certain criteria that we're going to use to separate each of the cells into different fields. So you can also use, if you wanted to, fixed width, where everything's the same width, and then you're just separating by that. But for most occasions when you're using it for marketing, you're going to use the delimited function. So once I've clicked on delimited, the next thing I'm going to do is go to next, and then it's going to ask me what is the delimiter that my data contains. So what this is a matter of doing is having a look through your data and working out what's the actual symbol that's actually then going through and separating all of the different pieces of data in each of the cells. And so you can see in each of them, you can see, I'm highlighting over this now, is that there's commas in between ID, comma, first name, comma, last name, comma, email. And then if I have a look through each of the different rows of data, I might just jump out of this for now so you can see, I can see that there's a comma in between each of those. So that is going to be what I'm going to use to delimit my cells. So I'm going to go back in here, text to columns, delimited. The comma is being used, so it's very simply a matter of unchecking on tab and choosing comma. And you can see what happens there straight away. It's gone through and it's now going to separate each of these cells and remove those commas in between, which you said were the delimiter. So now that's going to make up the columns. So now all I need to do is go to click next, and then from here, you can have a go at setting different formats if you want as well, but for the most parts, we're just going to now click on Finish. And there you go. So straight from that, now you can see I have my ID in my column A, I've got in column B my first name, column C, I have my last name, and in column D, I have my email. So this is one way that you'll need to use this. So this now obviously provides us with a lot more visibility on data. We can go through and do things like filters, sort this data, and be able to make a lot more sense of it. But let's just take an example where maybe we want to use the text to columns again. Let's just say, as an example, I've got a list of email addresses and I want to work out what domain most of them are coming from, or what are the common domains that my email addresses are using. And so how I could do this, you can see I've got all of my email addresses here. And if you think back to our last example we were using where our delimiter was a comma, if we have a look at what the username is of the email, and then it's got the @ symbol, and then it's got the domain, for all email addresses, the delimiter is going to be that @ symbol. So what I could go and do here, if I want to pull out the domain from these email addresses, is I could first off, I'll just copy this column. So I'll select the column, copy, and paste. So I've still got the email addresses if I still want them. But now I'm going to select my column E, the new one I've just created, and I'm going to go again to text to columns. Again, I'm going to choose delimited as I'm not doing it by a fixed width. This time, however, you can see it's still got it set on comma, but as we know, our delimiter this time is actually the @ symbol. So what you can do is you can go and click on Other, the bottom option here, and then from here, you can just go and put in the @ symbol, and you can see now what that's going to do. I'm going to click on Next, and then I'm going to just go straight away and click on Finish. It's now separated out the first part, so the unique username from the actual domain of the email address. And so now I can see through in here all of the different domains that are being used. So this is something that maybe you want to use as an email marketer, and what you might want to do after this is then run a little bit of a count, which we'll show in a later video if you have a look at my video on pivot tables, on then how we can then work out, okay, how many Gmail accounts are there in my email list? How many Hotmail accounts are there in my email address? How many maybe are Outlook or maybe a provider like TPG or one of the different internet providers out there as well. So now we actually have the domain, and we've done that simply by just using the text to columns function as opposed to going through each individual one and looking to separate that out. Okay, guys, that's essentially it for today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. Make sure you check out all the other videos that I've got, including my whole series on Excel for marketers. We're adding new things each and every week. Super excited to be helping all you marketers out. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.